Right.
Or that's a better topic. So shingle roofing, the types of shingle roofing.
Right.
Instead of shingle roofing being one of the many direct links, it was in a folder that said shingle roofing, and then the types of shingle roofing underneath it.
Yeah, and that led to these really complex trees that, like said, trees of pages and stuff like that.
So those secondary keywords in the folder would have been optimized because they were more obscure, and it was okay that they were on a third level.
Right.
And then
or fourth or fifth.
Or fourth level. And the primary word for shingle roofing was supported by the supportive content underneath that.
Right.
So interestingly, lately, so then not as much as a year ago or less, maybe 6 months ago, this began to change back again to a root level.
Yeah.
And so it gets a little complicated, but if you stay with us here, this is what's going on right now. We still have to do proper parent-child format, right? We still have to silo.
You still have to have structure to the site, but some pages, and especially this comes in, I think you're going to talk about blog structuring here.
Yeah.
So never mind, I'll come back to this. But the silo structure is still important, but my personal opinion is that these huge branching sites with 6 layers deep, what it led to was people making, you'd have like your shingle example, you'd have roof shingles, and then they'd have every possible weird category of shingle under that, and it became low value content.
That's true.
And so they said, okay, no more of that, start doing...
Hey there guys, it's Nolan and Jason here. Today we're going to talk about creating topical relevance through URL structuring.
You had trouble with that.
I didn't say that properly. Topical relevance.
Yeah, look, you did it fine. You did it fine.
But anyway, it sounds a little boring, but it's important, and it is.
Yeah. It's a weird technical detail that almost nobody talks about, but actually is fairly important.
It's become really important.
Yeah,
recently.
especially recently.
I think recently it's become really important. That's why they. You know, we actually had someone else in the office say we should talk about this. So like, okay.
Oh, do we have to?
This is one that's this is that boring speech deal, but it's important. So it was put up because of how important it's become. So I thought we start about talking about what this was like 15 years ago. So 15 years ago, everything that was a direct root level right off the domain, off the
domainname.com / name of page.
ABC optimize me first. Whatever it was, and then somebody stick the keyword in there and dash it. And then they got into keyword stuffing of these. And it really seemed, so years ago, if it wasn't off the root level, off that there's a first folder link, and you look at this like a family tree basically, right?
Right.
So you start out with original mama and daddy, and then it branches and branches and branches and branches. And it would have been that first generation after mama that would have done the best 15 years ago.
Right.
And for 5 years after that, and probably somewhere around, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, they began to.
It really kicked in with the content. What was it? Penguin in 2012.
And Panda is the content. Penguin.
Oh, did I reverse those? Sorry about that.
But so they got to the point to where they're like, okay, we're not going to give you credit for that anymore. We're going to penalize the primary keyword you needed. It got to the point to where if you didn't structure things into folders properly, which we still do, and we'll talk about that in a second, but if you didn't structure this in a parent-child format or silo architecture, then they're going to basically show these other pages, but you don't have any other pages carrying weight to the primary keyword terms.
Right.
So let's give a category topic like residential roofing versus commercial roofing. So if the keyword was residential roofing, but it was just stuck in the first folder and everything was stuck there, then 8 or 10 years ago, they'd begin to sap the primary keyword, and you might end up with architectural roof shingles, but you'd miss the word shingle roofing.
Right.
Or that's a better topic. So shingle roofing, the types of shingle roofing.
Right.
Instead of shingle roofing being one of the many direct links, it was in a folder that said shingle roofing, and then the types of shingle roofing underneath it.
Yeah, and that led to these really complex trees that, like said, trees of pages and stuff like that.
So those secondary keywords in the folder would have been optimized because they were more obscure, and it was okay that they were on a third level.
Right.
And then
or fourth or fifth.
Or fourth level. And the primary word for shingle roofing was supported by the supportive content underneath that.
Right.
So interestingly, lately, so then not as much as a year ago or less, maybe 6 months ago, this began to change back again to a root level.
Yeah.
And so it gets a little complicated, but if you stay with us here, this is what's going on right now. We still have to do proper parent-child format, right? We still have to silo.
You still have to have structure to the site, but some pages, and especially this comes in, I think you're going to talk about blog structuring in here.
Yeah.
So never mind, I'll come back to this. But the silo structure is still important, but my personal opinion is that these huge branching sites with 6 layers deep, what it led to was people making, you'd have like your shingle example, you'd have roof shingles, and then they'd have every possible weird category of shingle under that, and it became low value content.
That's true.
And so they said, okay, no more of that, start doing.
So we still optimize for this stuff. So we still optimize for, this is almost too much good information to give out, frankly. This turned out from something really boring to kind of fascinating, but we still optimize for stuff like hose bib replacement in a city from the hose bib page.
Right.
Which could be argued that that is extraneous BS, but people still do type it in.
Right.
Just very few people. And the one page for a hose bib replacement still optimizes at #1 ranking. Right. Because of this. But I guess the overall fear is there a penalty for these lower ranking keyword pages? Some sort of that was another thing within this topic category that Google says, hey, you may have a great page about hose bib replacement in the city, but because you've got so many bullshit pages,
we're not going to show you for plumbing repair.
We're not going to show you for your primary keyword term.
Yeah, and, and we're seeing some rumblings of that happening.
Of it. Yeah. However, the one that I'm referring to, the guy gets 15 calls a week.
Yeah.
On a website effort that was that was brand new when we started it.
Right. Yeah, it's not they haven't brought the hammer down or anything yet. It's just we're starting to see some signs that maybe they're thinking about.
So we've been beginning to, throw some of the content is well done into more of a general page for many different things.
Right.
Because I guess Google had said, look, you can talk about 40 types of shingles and all this crud if you want, or all this other stuff, but if no one ever clicks on it, we don't like it as much.
Right.
So therefore, you only show for all this crud and not the primary keyword term.
Right.
So but that isn't always the case. There's other factors like how old the website is, how much other work's done, how many inbound links, and domain authority.
How much competition there is.
Yeah.
We have a client that's in an obscure category, and we gave him a absolute crap ton of stuff like this on his site, and he's doing great.
Yes.
He's actually
he has city pages and the whole bit.
Yeah, he has city pages, stuff that we sometimes don't like to do anymore
he's a
for some markets.
And I won't even mention the
I wasn't going to mention his category.
It's so obscure that you could find him immediately.
Yeah, if we told you what it was and you put in his business category, he's #1 for everything across like 4 states.
Yeah, every city in Texas. So the reason that shows, so city pages came into question because of some of this methodology, because how far can you go down and trickle down pages, and how irrelevant is the page? Not that Google's necessarily directly against the city page, but is the city page is your website full of city pages that hardly ever get clicked on?
Right.
And it became topical relevance and URL structuring and depth of the page and the amount of times the page is clicked.
Right.
This is a really interesting.
It is actually. We were dreading this, by the way.
This is very interesting. We called off all the people that were going to listen way early on, and now they're all gone.
Yeah, and now nobody's listening.
Yeah, there's one lucky individual left, and that's it. So this structuring has really changed the way data is done now. That guy, the reason that Jason brought it up is because it's so obscure that no one has.
No one has a competing site.
There are very few people that have city pages.
Yeah.
So Google's like, well, Jesus, we don't typically like this crud.
This sucks, but it's the best thing we got.
But it's the best we got. It's the best dog in the bunch, right?
Yeah.
And so if it's a roofer or a plumber, and people have thrown city pages up everywhere, then inadvertently they've created some sort of spam in that category. Right.
Yeah, they've created something that Google views as spam, and roofing and plumbing, as you guys in the business know, it's highly competitive.
Highly competitive, and people tried all this stuff.
Yeah, and if you're in a major market, like a big city page spread is just flat out not going to work anymore.
Right, but if they're in a little category, I'll give some states that seem like they should be competitive but aren't always, like New Jersey or parts of Pennsylvania. These are populous states, but they also are strewn with lots of tiny towns.
Yeah, we're deep in the South. We're in Texas, and the way, so it's a little different here, but the way things are arranged in like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York is they have they have townships and hamlets and villages and words we don't even use in this part of the country. And so you can make little pages and content for all those things, and since nobody else has, it'll pop up sometimes.
So the guy in New Jersey needs it. If he's a roofer in New Jersey and he's in a town of 8,000, he can't get enough business out of that town.
Right.
It sucks. Now, if you're in a town of 8,000 in the middle of Dallas-Fort Worth where we live, forget about it. It's not going to happen. There's 10 million people, and we have dozens of towns with over 100,000 people in them.
Yeah, we have another one, I believe, that's on Long Island, New York.
Yeah.
And he's in this town, and this is an extremely densely populated part of Long Island, but his village or township has 1,500 people.
Right. Or
and so,
I can't remember.
No, it was 1,500. Yeah. It's like ridiculous because it's like there's nothing but residential blocks and stuff in this part of Long Island. My wife is from there, so I know. But you've got this little bordered area with 1,500 people in it.
Right.
That is just a name, but you can use that for your optimization in those cases.
So when we write this page content and you have a client like that, most of the time when you call a web company, they're going to say, oh, what are you complaining about, sir? We've got you number one and
tiny village, New York.
Yeah. So you're number one here. Is like, well, dude, there's like 500 rooftops here.
Yeah.
And we need more for that, for plumbing or roofing or HVAC or fence and gate or whatever you do.
Right.
But so that guy, when they come to us, we're logical about it. We're like, okay, so we know you don't have enough there to sustain, but organic's still great. So what do we do? It's like, okay, so we still optimize the map. The internal page content might pick up another city, but you can't keyword stuff. The cities in all the internal
you can't do a row of 5 or 6 or 10. You got to do.
You might get 2 or 3 depending on.
Yeah, we'll usually limit to 3 as far as we'll go.
It depends on how many characters are in those cities.
That too.
How many letters are literally in the city will limit this, and if it makes it look weird, like if you're Dallas-Fort Worth, it's Dallas-Fort Worth sounds fine.
Yeah.
To anybody in the nation, and especially here. And you can put it in there. You can't really do Dallas-Fort Worth Arlington, which is the new stenographer's name for us, right? And
all the cartographers are actually referring to this as Dallas-Fort Worth Arlington Metroplex now. Yeah.
Even Plano's being listed on the end of some.
Yeah, some of them, because it's getting so big.
So you can't just stuff those in, and it can't just sound weird like for here, if it was North Richland Hills, Aledo. It would be really awkward, right? Because they want North Richland. So you got to be careful about the way this is structured. You can't keyword stuff. And then if somebody's in a small market area, they can expand upon their general content, but then they have to go into city pages.
Right.
Which then leads us to a new topic on this.
Which is
getting closer to the blog structuring.
Right.
So where we might go into a category and instead do something which seems insane and do like a 3,000 word page. Or even a 5,000 word page.
Yeah, we've been seeing more of that.
Which leads
long form content.
Which leads back into a direct, what would it like a root level or top level page, meaning abccontractor.com/the page, not / major category, subcategory, the page.
Right.
Which not more than 6 months ago would have been the structure, especially for a blog.
Yeah.
Not even blog and then the page.
Yeah. The cool thing about blog structuring and as it relates to content marketing is that you kind of can get the best of both worlds.
It's a backwards structure.
Blogging, you can have categories and tags and stuff like that, and what, if you're in the WordPress world, is called the taxonomy. But you can also have the canonical URL, which you can make off the root.
Right.
So you can have domain.com/name of article, and that's a root level URL as far as Google search results are concerned. But you've also got this taxonomy coded into the page that hands Google the structure and the organization at the same time.
It's reversed.
Yeah.
So
it's a weird reverse.
It's a reverse deal. So one page is root level directly off the root, but then that page is in a category on your WordPress, and then within that category, the sites underneath it link to each other.
Right.
And or link to something else. And so it takes the
and that's important. The long form content that you do like that needs to link back to home pages or
the pages in this category.
Yeah, other pages in the same category on the site.
In the category.
Right, whichever it is.
Which gives structure back to it, even though it went straight root.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty damn cool stuff. We should actually have everyone listen to this one.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. This is like extremely cutting edge stuff. So I don't know if we want to recap any of that. That's a hard recap.
I don't know how we recap. Just go back and watch it.
Creating topical relevance through URL structuring, top level and lower level pages. We explained that. Lower level pages are still okay in some cases, but they truly need to be a lower level topic.
Yeah.
If your high level topics are on a lower level page, that would all day long be bad now.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're drilling down just to create a page that goes for one keyword, it's probably not going to work.
Yes.
Because they used to love that,
right,
but they don't like it so much anymore.
So you would still want to. So the recap on this is that if it's a hose bib, as opposed to the word plumbing company or plumbing repair, hose bib would still go into the service section, or grinder pump repair for a plumber still goes into an overall general pump repair page or a category of plumbing pumps.
Right.
That still occurs that way. If you begin to drop all this trash off the root, that might be a problem. But all primary keywords are parent. Your website still is going to have tabs and categories, and parent pages are the tabs, which are the first level, and then the categories drop underneath them. And I'll do plumbing again, so like water heater and types of water heater pages potentially.
Yeah.
Or if the water heater pages are too obscure, one massive page.
Right.
But if it goes into category structure and all the trashy long tail drops off the root, it's bad. But if it's a primary keyword category, then it needs to be dropped off the root. And then a reverse canonicalization structure, is that?
Canonical.
Canonical.
It gives me trouble too. I have to pause when I say it.
That canonical structure, did I say it?
Yeah, you did. You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, so that'd go back. Listen, I'm not, I know how the sausage is made, but I don't make the sausage. So I never protest. I actually a long time ago I did Dreamweaver and
they actually built the sites and made the content.
Sites and wrote the content, but
we don't let him do that anymore.
We've got extreme high-end services here. By the way, we can end on that. Damned if we're not good at this stuff at this point in time.
Yeah.
To be able to sit here and discuss this with someone and have resources and great people here to provide this service, which you cannot possibly understand how this affects you. This is the exact juice that someone comes here to buy.
Right.
So we perform the services. I could go on, but I'd be filling time, and there's no need for that, right?
Right.
Y'all call us sometime.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.